Hello, Fantasy Critic here. For those of you familiar with my channel, and for those of you not, because I'm pretty sure I have very little subscribers, today we're diving headfirst into a topic that makes my blood pressure rise faster than a TIE fighter doing a barrel roll. Disney, Star Wars, and the mountain of money they managed to set on fire faster than a hut on a diet. Now, for those of you living under a rock or on an extremely dense asteroid, Disney isn't exactly having the best time of year today. Financially, of course. And while there are a lot of reasons why for that, I'm here to tell you about the significant amount of their pain, especially when it comes to Star Wars. Which it could have been completely avoided, unfortunately. My argument is that if Disney had just stuck to the expanded universe of Star Wars, they wouldn't be bleeding money like a womp rat after a run-in with Luke's land speeder. Now, for those of you who know that Disney operates on the principle of, if it ain't broke, let's smash it with a hammer, then complain about the repair bill. Because that's exactly what they did to Star Wars. They bought a perfectly functioning, wildly popular, and profitable franchise. Then proceeded to dismantle everything that made it, well, lovable. All in the name of, what was it again? Oh, new and improved storytelling. That somehow managed to feel extremely old and creatively bankrupt. For a quick example, they ruined Thrawn. They caused the legends to be legends, and, well, let's continue, shall we? Now, here's a pro for the comparison I'm making. The EU was a fucking gold mine. For decades, the expanded universe charmingly rebranded as Legends. Because, let's be honest, Disney thinks anything good is a myth. And I truly hate Disney. But it was a treasure trove of incredible stories, complex characters, and a rich, evolving galaxy and lore. We had epic conflicts, moral quandaries or karmic imbalances, and character arcs that actually made sense. We had Grand Admiral Thrawn, a strategic mastermind who could outthink Vader on a good day. And Disney completely just ruined that. It's to be expected. Disney is Disney, and Disney is Disney. We even had the most badass Jedi of the New Republic and New Jedi Order, Kyle Katarn. He even had his own video game duology, Star Wars Jedi Outcast and Star Wars Jedi Academy. Sadly, he doesn't exist anymore, thanks to Disney's buffoonery. Now, the cons. The EU was not perfect, but it existed. And I'll grant you this, a lot of you actually probably enjoyed some of the Disney things. So it was... Now, back to the EU. The EU had its occasional missteps, the weird moments, the overall jankiness. But not every story was a masterpiece. Even the less than stellar parts were based in a universe that had already existed and had a comprehensible plot to fill in the plot holes. It's like Disney just saying, nah, we have this whole universe, but nah, we're not going to use it. We're going to light it on fire and draw some stick figures in the ashes. It's like buying a Michelin 5-star restaurant, firing all the staff and all the 5-star chefs, then serving people mystery food on moldy bread and wondering why people don't return. It's really stupid. And then here's the other con. Basically, there were things that were less than stellar. It was a part of the larger beloved universe, but it was less than stellar. Example, Jar Jar Binks. But it was already in existence. Why? What the fuck was Disney thinking? Disney didn't have to spend billions and billions of dollars on creating new movies and new lore. They already had the lore, but decided not to use it. It's like spending billions and billions of dollars on a luxury mansion worth that much, then deciding to live in the cardboard box in the dumpster out in the backyard. Now, speaking of questionable decisions, Disney's choices in hiring the one woman who hates George Lucas and his success, Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not going to say a woman can't run Lucasfilm, but basically, in George Lucas's early days, there was a woman that kept everything together. So, no, a woman can run George Lucas, just not one who hates him. But when this woman, Kathleen Kennedy, has openly expressed her hatred of George Lucas and her disdain for his creation of Star Wars, yeah, I can see that going downhill really quickly. It's kind of like hiring an arsonist to work at a fireworks factory. That's the equivalent of Disney's decision-making there. Now, I can sort of see the meeting that went on when this was when she was hired, and it was like, Bob, so we got this woman who clearly despises George Lucas, uh, hates his franchise and his success, and I think she's going to be a great fit. There's no way she wouldn't ruin this. And systematically dismantle everything he built and replace it with whatever it is we have now, the flaming dumpster fire of garbage. Now, George Lucas, for all his flaws and fickle mind and changes of heart, he had a vision. He built an entire universe. Books spanning from the 70s to now. Now you understand the scale of Disney's failure there. He understood the core themes of Star Wars because he created it. The EU continued that legacy, building on established foundations. With Kennedy, it feels like a committee trying to operate an algorithm and tries to please everyone, but ends up failing miserably and pleasing no one. It's the ultimate creative paralysis, resulting in a product that feels focus group to death and basically no love put into it, just no heart, no soul, except for the actors that actually did it. Everyone on the production team was like, we're doing this to make money. Let's make a ton. Look how that went. It was so creatively bankrupt. The people behind the movie depended on the actors to make it work. The truth is, Disney bought a mythical golden goose of industry, then proceeded to pluck all its feathers, cook it, and then complain why they have no more golden eggs. But it's one of the stupidest things they've ever done. But they swapped out established characters, established storylines that have been accepted for decades. And the new characters, they feel like they were written by some sort of AI trying to simulate the 90s version of Extreme Cool. I'm 31, and I remember that's old. That was basically the 80s trying to die and the 90s trying to live. The truth is, they don't actually understand Star Wars. They never did. All they see is dollar signs, money. And it's just a committee-driven mess. It's huge what the fuckery and shit digging a hole that's gone down to the 9th layer of hell. Now, think about it. If Disney had continued with the expanded universe, we'd have movies based on the Thrawn trilogy, the Yuuzhan Vong invasion of Coruscant. On the big screen, we could have had a logical progression of characters and storylines that fans were already invested in. Not this nostalgia-driven bullshit. Instead, we got Last Jedi. Well, it's like they looked at a map that clearly pointed this way towards riches and decided to take a shortcut through a minefield while simultaneously igniting their entire financial Star Wars futures into very destructive flames. And then they act surprised when they step on a landmine and their quarterly earnings are comparable to a dying supernova. Now, the implication of this is when you disrespect the source material, when you disrespect the creator who created that source material, and when you disrespect the dedicated fan base of this source material, you're basically poisoning the entire cardiovascular system of your franchise. And officially, Disney killed Star Wars. Now, you pay the price when you pay that much disrespect to the original source material. And Disney is paying huge. They were bleeding money because they made monumentally, snake-fuckingly crazy, batshit insane decisions with the Star Wars franchise, which made no fucking sense. Now, I hate Disney. Well, I'm not entirely sure. It was driven by something. Something drove them to do this incredibly shitty thing filled with corporate dumbassery. But I'm not entirely sure what did it. What went through their demented brains to ruin Star Wars this badly. Now, other than like the profound knowledge that they have no idea how to correctly interpret Star Wars, I bet Disney $5 that they could hire a Star Wars fan off the street. He'd look up Gemini, and if Gemini, the actual AI, can make a better script than they can, I'd say that that's a good reason to question their motives. Because I actually tested this. And trust me, Gemini did a better job. Now, let's take a little detour. So, if Disney wants to stop this financial bleeding that they have and like stem it for a bit, they need to take a good long look in their mirrors and need to understand that the fans aren't the problem. Your decision-making, Disney, your decision-making essentially killed Star Wars. You committed franchise suicide, basically. How to kill a beloved... It's like you're writing a book. How to kill a beloved franchise in less than 3 days for dummies. I truly hate Disney. They should have just listened to the wise words of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or, shall I say, Sir Patrick Guinness. I'm not sure if I got his first name correct, but comment if you think I did. I don't know. You can't win Darth, or in this case, Disney. If you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And Disney did just that. They did not listen to Obi-Wan. They sidelined Lucas and made Star Wars shit. And in doing that, they only weakened themselves. I hate Disney. And now we have the fact that Disney, not all of Disney's properties have actually sucked ass. I, in fact, genuinely enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and the video games, Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. But I found their other productions, like The Mandalorian, to be like good at first and then gets really tedious to follow along, as well as the video games Star Wars Outlaws. It was extremely tedious. It was just remarkably tedious. It was a good story, but the gameplay was awful. And it's just sad, honestly. Now, technically, the best thing that ever happened to us fans of Star Wars is Kathleen Kennedy, or the rumors of her being shit-canned. From her role at basically leading Lucasfilm down the toilet. Now, the official line in her own statements are complicated. She publicly states she's not retiring and is going to continue making movies. I don't see how any of her movies are going to be good, because she practically ruined her reputation after ruining Star Wars. Yeah, good job there. Now, even as like discussions about like a succession plan for her role as president of Lucasfilm, which technically isn't Lucasfilm anymore, it's more like Money Grubber Productions, honestly. And while these discussions are openly underway, let's be honest, the sheer volume of these shitty reports and the talk of an eventual succession it points to a significant shift in views behind the scenes, that the executives saying, "Oh, she's costing us money, we have to let her go." And then they're just covering that up. It's amazing the mental gymnastics they have to like think, how can we fire this person without the public knowing? Maybe force her to retire. And it's mental gymnastics that are just wonky beyond belief. Now, the thing is, I hate this subject. Whether it's a forced exit or a mutual parting, or a gradual transition, the narrative is clear. Her tenure as head of Lucasfilm and bringer of doom for all of Star Wars kind is just gone down the toilet. She's done. For many fans, this news has been a little bit of a relief, because at least whoever is her replacement at least will not be as bad as her. Now, But beyond creative decisions, there's a deeper, a little more systemic issue within Disney that needs to be addressed. It's this recurring problem of not giving the actors their due credit, or worse, outright controlling their livelihoods and artistic contributions. Not even listening to their suggestions that I don't think my character would say this. There is no better example than like what Disney did to Judy Garland, the person who played in the original 1939 Wizard of Oz. There's YouTube channels who have like covered this extensively, but I forgot their name, so I can't share the link. But the stories are very well documented that Walt Disney told Judy Garland that she can't profit off the songs sang in Wizard of Oz by her because Disney owns her voice outside of her contract, which makes zero sense and is actually a form of manipulation and is incredibly unethical. And basically, they forbade her from profiting from the songs she famously sang in that movie outside of her initial contract. That is a stark, unethical example of the company exerting manipulative control over their employees, basically, the actors. And that is incredibly wrong. Aside from the Star Wars failure that they're so famously known for now. Now, I'm sorry for the script. I can't memorize lines. Now, and we are seeing echoes of this today. With the advancements in AI, Disney, among other studios, has been at the forefront of trying to secure contracts that would grant them to use actors' signed voices to create new performances for the future. We've seen it with the recreation of James Earl Jones's voice, which could have been done without AI. Just take samples of his voice from like other movies, i.e. the original trilogy, and it would have sounded a lot better. And even his other voiceovers, like way back when, would have been much better. You could just digitally edit it by hand to say what you want it to say without using AI. Now, I do admit to using AI, but that was just to test the theory of it could like write a better script than Disney. And it did. It wrote like a whole script of like Heir to the Empire. And that AI was Gemini. And it is seriously one of the better AIs. But, back to the subject. We've seen this recreation of voices with James Earl Jones as Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, for like I think the Rebels series, the Guinness Kenobi, basically, and Mark Hamill's young Luke Skywalker voice in the Book of Boba Fett, which is incredibly janky, to be honest. While some actors, like Jones, explicitly signed over their rights because they make money from that. And the broader push by studios for this kind of like overstep in boundaries of like owning people's voices is like raises serious serious ethical questions about the artistic control of Kaiser Disney. I did. Yes, I liken Disney to a dictator. I'm on YouTube, so I can say that. I didn't specify which dictator. So I leave that to you in the complaints. Oh well, I know I'm going to get some complaints from that. Now, excuse me for like having to read a script. I can't memorize shit. Now, well, artistic control is one of their main things, and fair compensation and an evolving technological landscape. It feels like that old exploitative, manipulative dictator mentality. That's probably why people think Disney will take over the world one day. Who's to say they haven't? Now, so while we might debate the merits of a new Star Wars show or film, it's crucial to remember that the big behind this all, the $1 billion budget spectacular thing they got going on, there are real people, real actors, and real behind-the-scenes people who actually work hard to make it happen. And these real people, their contributions are oh so often undervalued. And their rights are to like the artistic world are constantly being challenged by the very people who hold their contracts. The corporate assholeness of Disney. It's like after Walt died, Disney had its good years, and then it's then it quickly turned to shit. Yep, it turned to shit. Now, these corporations profit ever so immensely from their talent. It's a pattern that goes back decades, all the way back to 1939 Wizard of Oz, which is insane because back then Disney didn't own that film. Now, I would have sad trombone music in an off-key Star Wars thing, but I'm not that good at computers to edit this video, so deal with it. And so, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? Am I loonier than a Looney Tune, or is Disney's Star Wars dumbassery a clear case of basically financial franchise suicide? Let me know in the comments, and please like this video, and please subscribe. I really need it. I really do. And just do whatever you do to get like notified for my videos. And please do not miss my next video. I'm planning on redoing my Dante's Inferno book ban rant with this more comprehensive thing. Now, unless you're like the Star now, may the Force be with you all. For all my audience, who I am essentially doing this video for, and by audience I mean the people who specifically choose to believe that the Disney sequel trilogy never happened. And only the true movies are 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, and 3, and some occasional Clone Wars episodes. But unless you're Disney, you don't deserve the Force. Fuck you, Disney. Have fun. Fantasy Critic out. I hated this rant. Time to stop.